As educators, it is our job to ensure that students are given the tools necessary to excel in their learning. A lot of the time, that means staying up to date on the issues and reforms necessary to ensure an equitable and effective education for every student. While some issues are most relevant to today's dilemmas, some have been of concern for quite some time. Distance learning is on the forefront of every educator's mind at the moment. How do we ensure every student has access to the technology necessary to continue learning at home? With our current events before us, it is important to consider that the problems of today are deep-rooted in the problems of yesterday. Was every student receiving that equitable education prior to this global pandemic? Educators are constantly looking to improve the practice of teaching by taking a holistic view. Current topics include universal design in teaching and learning, culturally responsive teaching, technology in the classroom, and trauma-informed care. According to Literacy in the Disciplines, A Teacher's Guide for Grades 5 through 12 by Thomas Wolsey and Diane Lapp, disciplinary literacy refers to the way learning is communicated within a discipline or content. This is important because understanding the way content is organized helps us better understand the toolbox we will be equipping our young scholars with as they progress through their academic journey. Content literacy has been greatly affected by changes in literacy design, particularly when it comes to standards reform. In 2010, the Maryland Board of Education adopted the Maryland College and Career Ready Standards, which incorporate the Common Core State Standards. These standards emphasize the importance of literacy across contents and allow teachers to focus lessons on teaching skills students will need as they develop through academia. The implementation of these standards allows for standards-based grading, so students are assessed on mastery of certain standards rather than how much work they turn in. Students can earn high grades for improving and are encouraged to develop skills they struggle with. Assessing standards rather than assignments helps teachers collect data which shapes instruction going forward. Students with learning disabilities are often diligent, hardworking students who have had to overcome several obstacles and are empathetic to the struggles other students may face. To facilitate a space where they can thrive, it is important to understand as much as we can about their learning needs and promote their strengths rather than their weaknesses. For instance, according to the National Center for Learning Disabilities video, Strengths of Students with Learning Disabilities and Other Disorders, students with ADHD are out-of-the-box thinkers and are often willing to be class helpers. Try making them class leaders, scorekeepers, attendance takers, slide changers, and place them in other helpful roles. Students with nonverbal disabilities and students on the autism spectrum are great logical thinkers. They often pay close attention to detail and stay on task without too much supervision. Unfortunately, according to the National Center for Learning Disabilities website, while 1 in 5 students have learning and attention issues, only a few of them will get the services they need. These issues arise from a variety of risk factors such as genetics, issues that are passed down, toxin exposure such as lead, a factor that unfortunately affects many students served by Baltimore City Public Schools, and adverse childhood experiences such as trauma, abuse, and neglect, another factor which greatly impacts Baltimore students. This is why it is crucial that teachers incorporate a universal design for learning, which takes all learning needs into account. Planning for all learning needs means more students will get access to a variety of learning materials without special accommodations. According to the journal, Preparing Teachers to Use Universal Design for Learning to Support Diverse Learners, UDL, or the Universal Design for Learning, is a scientifically based framework for developing curricula that acknowledges learner diversity as a function of human variability. Its basic principles are engagement, providing options for self-regulation, and promoting coping skills while enhancing students' sense of reaching objectives. Representation, providing options for comprehension through multimedia formats and guiding processing. And action and expression, guiding students' goal setting and supporting them in planning accordingly. Technology offers us the means to provide students with a variety of tools for learning at little or no cost to the educator or institution, and new literacies are shaping a new way of presenting materials to students. According to Literacy in the Disciplines, A Teacher's Guide for Grades 5 through 12 by Thomas Wolsey and Diane Lapp, a new literacy refers to the means by which digital technologies are infused into our ways of knowing and understanding the world. According to a study noted in Hannah McKay's research, a 2015 survey noted that tweens, age 8 through 12, reported spending an average of 4.6 hours daily on their screens, and teens, ages 13 to 18, reported their daily screen time on average as 6.7 hours, with both tweens and teens reporting that more than 40% of this time was spent on mobile devices. Access to technology is growing amongst our youth, making advancements to technology-based learning inevitable. That same research shows that a recent consumer survey of over 6,100 teens noted that 3 out of 4 teens reported owning an iPhone, with Snapchat being the social media platform of choice. Imagine the possibilities. Why is any of this important to note? It also appears that technology will play a large role in aiding our students on their journey to discovering just who they are. According to McKay, studies show that the digital environment in which adolescents participate offers an extension of their physical world. In other words, though students have a personal identity in the physical world, researchers have found that numerous aspects of adolescents' identities are developing simultaneously, and their physical world identity is supported by the lives they lead in digitally mediated ways. Google Classroom is a fantastic free online resource for students and educators. It takes a little time to learn all the tricks to make it an online extension of your classroom, but once you do, it becomes a useful tool for providing students with materials, collecting work, taking surveys, and offering students an online forum where they can interact with one another. You can customize your banner, divide your work into topics which you can organize and customize. Students can download the app and turn in work from their cell phones anytime, and they often do. And you can send class notifications that go directly to their mobile devices. You can also create assignments on your mobile device, which has proved to be an amazing tool. The quality and quantity of work turned in by my class has greatly improved since I have begun using Google Classroom. It is truly an amazing resource. Technology also allows you to provide students with a variety of materials for their learning needs. I use Google Classroom to distribute materials, but you could also use Google Drive and email. Check out my classroom material section. I chose to upload our course text chapter by chapter and offer students the ebook, audiobook, and graphic novel, as well as a video summary through Course Hero. Students don't even have to download the materials. They can view them on their Chromebooks in class, on their personal computers at home, and even on their mobile devices. Course Hero is an excellent resource as well. They offer 2 to 3 minute chapter summaries that students can use to build on their comprehension or use in place of chapters we skip in class. I also play these when I feel my class struggles to understand what is going on. They are also great for catching students up who may have missed several days of instruction. Using visually stimulating new literacies, such as infographics and graphic novels, is a great way to help students shape their understanding of new concepts and reaffirm ideas within the course texts. Infographics are great points of references for students when they are learning new concepts. If a student asks a question for which the answer is readily available on an infographic already made, I can just point to it. It encourages students to reread important terms and definitions, and gives them a space to look when they're stuck. Here's an example of one I use in my classroom to help students remember the difference between topics and themes. Graphic novels are not only visually stimulating, but they also are often word-for-word renditions of the text they represent. Students can more easily use context to figure out the meaning of words through their illustrations, and further, they can better understand what is happening in the text. In my class, we're currently finishing up To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. The language and vocabulary in the novel has proved quite tricky for my ninth grade English 1 class with a variety of learning needs, so I've made the graphic novel available for all my students. While I reference the novel when asking text-dependent questions and in-class activities, students know they can grab a laptop and access the graphic novel for those activities as well. Many of them also choose to read the graphic novel for homework rather than the paperback version, which is totally acceptable in my classroom.